What's up, everybody? It's Mike Arce, and welcome back to the GSD show. And in this episode, I'm here with Felicia Romero, Matt Blanton, Kelly Schmidt, three people that are experts in knowing exactly what you should be telling your fitness studio members to put in their body to get them to achieve their goals.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD show. All right, guys, welcome back. So, Felicia, Matt, and Kelly Schmidt here. Kelly and Felicia are back again as they've been on the GSD show before. Kelly was episode 3, an OG, and Felicia was episode 10, kind of going to the second tier. But Matt Blanton, this is your first time.
Yeah.
But he's the host because we're in your space right now, right?
Yeah, welcome.
So when it comes to nutrition for your members, how important is it on a scale of 1 to 10 that they really focus on nutrition? We'll start with you.
I would say it's highly important. It's 80% diet, 85% diet. Because you could be working out and not eating the right foods and really kind of not getting the results that you need. So we really try to implement it at Fit Method. We meet with all of our members. We provide grocery lists for our members. We do have a separate kind of a la carte where we do offer nutrition counseling. But even at the baseline, we try to provide education and seminars, free seminars, grocery lists, and things to help our people.
So we're going to talk about that in a minute because I think that'd be great. And what's your thought on nutrition? How important is it to the success of someone's business?
I would agree. I mean, 80% of it does come from diet, and it could be a lot more depending on the person and what their goals are. But ultimately, you can put somebody out there just walking daily on an average pace for a couple miles and then have a great diet. They'll lose a ton of weight. And the right type of diet to fit that person as well, I think is really, really important. They need to understand what the goal is and then also how their body works.
Okay. Kelly?
I agree with what they said, but I've actually gotten to the point now where I do tell my clientele that it's 100% nutrition as far as if they want to see changes. I work with a lot of people that are a little more advanced or maybe have been in this arena for a while and want to kind of get to that next level, whatever it is. And I always tell them that that's the component, the foundational element to make sure we're going to have success with everything else they're doing. So I now like to say this is 100% because I don't want them thinking, well, it's 80, so I'm not going to, kind of give into this. I want to make sure that they know that in working with me with my programs, that's where everything starts and begins. So yeah, 80% for sure, but I've gotten to the point to telling people where it's 100%.
Awesome. So guys, in this episode, we're going to show you how to actually help your members. We're going to give you strategies like the grocery list, like seminars, like videos that you can make to help them along the way, and how to be able to get this information to your members effectively, because you obviously can't help every single member, especially if you're going up to 300, 500, 800 members. It's hard to really have that personal touch with each of them, but these guys have really found a way to be able to share that message, and so we're going to be showing you guys how to do that too. So let's start with the grocery list. So you do grocery lists. Do either of you guys do grocery lists? You do too? Okay. So let's talk about, since you're the one that brought it up, give me an example of how you implement grocery lists with your members.
I got beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rice,
All right, so you are listening to three people that really know their stuff when it comes to supplementation and nutrition. We have a great giveaway for you today from all three of them. So Matt is going to be giving away his 12 recommended supplements that you should be having, why and where to get them. Felicia is giving away her grocery list that she literally gives to every single one of her fitness members on the day they join. She's also going to be giving away top 10 foods to boost metabolism. And Kelly is making a special video that actually explains to you what you should eat and why you should eat it and how much of it you should eat based on your goals. So if that's something you'd like, go to thegsdshow.com/E052. Again, that's thegsdshow.com/E052, and we'll get it over to you. Thanks. Enjoy your healthy eating.
potatoes, tomatoes, beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes.
So anytime a new member starts, we basically provide them with a new member goodie bag with class schedule and information, and we do heart rate monitor as well, so information on the heart rate monitor, but grocery list. So we make it pretty simple. The grocery list that I create is basically broken down into protein, carbs, and fats, because most people, if I've just kind of taken elementary, a lot of people don't know what that is. They don't know what a carb is. They don't know what a protein is. So I really have to think in all aspects like they don't know. So I just break it down for them as far as serving size for men, serving size for women. And it's very general because everyone's going to be different. I can't say that everyone's going to be on the same sort of meal plan, but it's a general overview. If someone were going to a restaurant, hey, you got to measure your chicken and we want to have it the size of your palm. It just makes it more real life, because a lot of the women and men that come to the studio are anywhere between 25 and 40, have jobs and kids, and they don't necessarily want to measure everything. So I try to just keep it pretty simple. Like, hey, if you were out at a restaurant doing at a family function, this is how you're going to measure your chicken. So I try to keep things very simple when it comes to that. So it's a pretty general guideline.
So what would a grocery list look like? Like if I'm looking at the paper right now,
Right.
And do you have an example of a grocery list?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Could you actually, so we're going to be giving away some stuff here too for you guys so you can see. Would you mind sharing that with the giveaway?
Absolutely.
So we'll
Yeah.
share with you guys, and we'll give you the information you'll need throughout this episode. So make sure you keep watching as to how you can get these giveaways. But one of them will be an example of a grocery list. But just what would it look like if I'm looking at it?
Looking at the grocery list, broken up into protein. At the top, I say, serving sizes for men, women, again, very general. And then there's a list of, 15 different protein items with the lean protein and different sources of protein
Like
that people
ground
can
turkey
get.
and stuff like that?
Ground turkey and chicken and steak and, fish and shrimp and whey protein, eggs, things like that. And then you have it broken down into carbs. On my grocery list as well, I even have pictures. So people like to see things, are very visual. So versus reading, then they have examples of those foods next to that food item. So, and then again, fats. And then at the end of that, I actually have little tips. So for those that maybe not want to pay for the extra nutrition counseling, it's like, hey, I list 5 to 6 different tips at the end of that grocery list. Like, hey, try to eat 4 to 5 small meals a day. Make sure you're drinking this much water. Try to limit this, this, and this. And again, just giving general overview of tips.
Now, you will charge extra, which is another revenue stream for nutritional consults,
Yeah.
right? And Kelly, you actually do one-on-ones as well as you're online and all that. And you actually have shared with me that sometimes you'll just use someone's session to sit down with them and really help them break down their entire
Absolutely.
meal plan
Yeah.
and grocery list and all that, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about, let's say a grocery list. How would you put together a grocery list for somebody?
So, and I think what's interesting or cool about what we have here is we've got a lot of different dynamics. I tend to, with somebody starting out, I like to be a little more rigid and strict as far as what we do. So same thing, I give them the basic good proteins, good carbohydrates, and good fat sources, except I'll tell them the amounts that they're going to be eating, but they'll get some variations as far as what they get to choose from to kind of give them, some variety in their meal plan. So mine's probably not as elaborate as Felicia's, but I will also, I have the luxury of being able to sit and really go individually with the people I'm working with and say, here's why we're doing this and here's your understanding. Here's what you get to pick from starting out, and then we will change these as we adapt and we go through these things. I like to pull away variables that could kind of lead them to being unsuccessful starting out. And then as they progress, then we get into more advanced where it's, we may switch up the carb sources or the fat sources that they're able to do. So.
Okay. And Matt, we're going to actually go to you right after this question about supplements. I know you have some notes, but easy supplements for people to bring up. Really quick though, before we dive into that, I want to talk about the breakdown because, the average member that doesn't have a ton of experience, they may not know the difference between good carbs and bad carbs, so they just eliminate all carbs, right? And there's obviously diets that eliminate all carbs, and there's a ton of different stuff out there. So how do you explain it so that these guys can see an easy way to explain good carbs, bad carbs? We'll let you take good carbs, bad carbs, good proteins, bad proteins, good fats, bad fats. Okay? So break down good carbs, bad carbs.
So if I was breaking down, well, that's hard because I'm not super strict when it comes to with what I do, because I was a competitor for 9 years and competing at the pro level, and I have issues now with measuring food and packing my food and things like that. So with a lot of the people that I work with, I honestly, I focus now more on intuitive eating and eating with what feels right. And obviously, you know that a donut's not super healthy, and we don't want to eat 10 of those. But if you have half a donut, it's not going to kill you in a day. You know what I mean? You can still hit your goals even if you do those things. It's just learning how to control and portion control, and obviously using your own intuition. So when it comes to the good carbs, bad carbs, obviously you want to stick to a lot of those foods that, especially when it comes to the complex carbs, it's really hard because I don't know how to explain it without giving examples, but a lot of people know.
Well, let's take like breads.
Okay.
What are some examples of breads? If, let's say, somebody said, look, I want bread, I want the taste of bread, but
Right.
I need to have it almost like on a regular basis because I
Right.
like it.
Right.
What are some bread choices?
It just depends. Again, it's going to be very general. It depends on the person, because some people can have a whole grain bread and be completely fine. But let's say they're like sensitive to gluten and they can't eat that bread. So then there's obviously gluten-free options. So when it's nutrition, it gets a little bit sticky because there's so much variables involved, like Kelly had mentioned. So I can't just say, oh, you can eat bread and you're going to be fine, because some people it's not okay.
And there's a reason I asked that question too, is because it's
hard
not
question.
black and white. And a lot of people will just say, no bread. You know, or a lot of people will just say, you know, well, donuts. Well, real quick, have you ever eaten half a donut, Kelly?
Never.
Only whole donuts.
Yeah.
I saw, we went to San Diego, you had a donut about the size of my chest.
We had those donuts.
Yeah, I may have had a smaller donut. You had a donut sandwich.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to really think about what Felicia said, because it's not cut and dry, and you don't want to just tell somebody, don't have this, don't have that, because you could set them up for failure if you do that. So
Well, that's
really
Kelly had
understand.
mentioned. It's really important to sit down with them and really get to know that person. You know, I know it's not. It's really hard. He does a lot of the one-on-one, whereas Fit Method is membership. So we're signing up 60 members a month, and it's really hard to like meet with all those people. So that's why we charge extra. But that's why we give that general overview, because we want our members to be successful. So yeah.
And so fats, there's obviously fats that have a lot of benefits to it, and there's fats that have less benefits. So
Yeah.
if somebody says, I don't understand, fat's good, I feel like putting fat in my body's bad, aren't I supposed to get it out? How do you answer that question to your members?
I think diet in general is just a very complicated subject these days. There's a lot of options to choose from. I think in general, it really goes back to the person. So there's different types of diets. There's blood type diet, there's ketogenic, there's
What do you mean by blood
slow
type
carb. So determining what your blood type is, and then finding a diet that fits that blood type, so that you're removing inflammation and toxic foods that may not work for you, but they might work for somebody else that has a different blood type. So
How can you find out that? Like, let's say your member says, well, how do I even know what my blood type is?
there's a great book on blood type diets, and I'm sure we can share that in the show notes. But just knowing your blood type. So go find out what your blood type is. Get your blood work done. Ultimately, that would be my recommendation: is getting that blood work done, identifying all the things that are going on with the body, the hormones, the thyroid, the minerals and supplements, all the stuff that's happening within the blood, and then knowing where to go from there. But to take it down to fats in general, going and looking at like ketogenic diet is a completely new, not new, but it's a newer concept. It's getting more mainstream publicity. And there's guys like Dom D'Agostino that's doing a 500-pound deadlift 10 times on the 10th day of fasting. And so this guy's 100 kilos. How do you lift something like that after fasting for 10 days? And so it gives merit to the idea of utilization of fat as fuel. And he's only eating maybe one meal a day or whatever his program is. So going back to fats in general, again, keep it simple. I mean, nuts, seeds, avocado oil, those types of things are really basic, and I like the idea of just getting a handful of that throughout the day as snacks. Going into a meal, avocados are obviously a really good fit. So finding those things that work for the person and their diet. So, and then the amount of fat is also up for debate as well, depending on what the goals are.
Now, if somebody asks you, but why do I want fat? What does fat do for me? How do you answer that?
So my philosophy, my perspective is twofold. One is fat is essentially the thing that controls the brain. The brain is probably one of the most important organs, so you want to be able to have fat there to continue functionality. It also is great for the muscles and the lining of the intestines and all the ligaments and tendons. It acts as a lubricant for those things as well. So it's really nice to have that just in the body to do a lot of its normal function on a day-to-day basis.
Personal experience with that. I was depriving myself for many months when I used to compete. Like we used to, play around with carbs and no fats and this, and I was really depressed and anxious. And this was after months of really, really low calorie, just a lot of just protein and veggies. And I found myself depressed and anxious, and it was because I was missing a nutrient, and that was fat. Fat is essential. It's essential for your body. It's essential for a reason. It's their EFAs, essential fatty acids. It's needed for brain development, especially for us women, and I'm the only woman on this panel. I need it to keep me going and to keep functioning, and so that I don't fall in those slumps of depression. So it's very essential.
Cool. So let's talk about proteins. Because I told you about the one woman that made her member snack on mozzarella sticks all day, right? To get protein.
Bought at Walmart.
Right. That you buy at Walmart because
Right.
they're cheap. You stock up for the month. It's a true story, guys. So what's your take on protein? And we're going to get into the truths and the myths and the truths behind it when it comes to certain things like eggs and milk and all that. But
I think explaining protein is probably the easiest out of these two scenarios because, like they said, when they were explaining, I could think of all the different things going into it. Protein's pretty easy. You have complete protein sources, which are going to help rebuild and restore muscle tissue when you tear it down exercising and doing physical activity, and you have incomplete protein sources. So there are 11 essential amino acids that will help you rebuild muscle tissue. I don't know them all offhand, so don't ask me to tell you them right now. And
You could've made it up and I would've
so
known.
you have, let's say, so a lot of people, are under the premise of, and I believe the government made it big in the 80s with dairy as getting your protein in. But what you're forgetting is the calories, the potential sugar, and the not good fats that you're bringing in, saturated fats when you're taking that in. So that actually negates the good protein source that you're taking in. So you want to look at a complete protein source, that's going to help you rebuild muscle tissue. And it's basic. Red meats, depending on if your body, and you talked about the blood typing, there's a lot of people that don't do well with red meats. Mm-hmm. You've got your lean turkeys, your fish, and depending on your fish, and your chicken. I mean, those are going to be your basic egg whites, your basic sources of protein. The protein's going to help rebuild your muscle tissue. There's a lot of other plant-based proteins out there, soy-based proteins. They're proteins, but they operate very differently, and a lot of your plant-based proteins will lack some of those essential amino acids to rebuild muscle tissue. So that's why vegetarians need to be very smart if they are going to, depending on the level of vegan or vegetarian that they are, to make sure they're getting in their complete amino acid profile to help rebuild muscle tissue. And protein broken down to its final stages in the body is amino acids. That's what will rebuild the muscle tissue and help you heal, especially when you're doing all of these different things.
one of the things I want to talk about is supplementation. Mm-hmm. And so there are supplements that I think maybe are just really there to sell, right? Mm-hmm. It makes sense on the shelf when you don't know anything about supplements. I just want the result that the bottle tells me I'll get. Mm-hmm. And then there's supplements that are really good to get because maybe the foods that you want to take in throughout the day may not be able to give you everything that you need without overdoing it in other areas, mm-hmm. right? And so Matt, this is, when I think of this stuff, I think about you. So give me an example of some really great supplements that are great to take to be an efficient person that's easy for fitness studio owners to recommend generally to members.
Yeah, from a general standpoint, the body needs certain minerals, it needs certain vitamins and stuff just to operate. A lot of this stuff we get through foods, we get through possibly, hopefully, water intake. That's a side tangent, but water source is really, really important. This is how you hydrate. And so if you're not getting the quality water that has all the minerals in it that you need, that replaces a lot of the stuff that's getting burning out, that has the salts and a lot of the other stuff that's in the water, make sure that you're choosing a quality water. So the stuff that comes in a bottle that's distilled is, a lot of that has removed a lot of the important nutrients that you need to replace after a workout. And Gatorade is not the best choice. It's high sugar, it's not even really a great fit. So if you just took a bottle of water and you put some salt in it, it'd be a start. And I'd use pink Himalayan sea salt, and there's a couple other great salts out there, but at least it has the highest concentration of alkalinity and stuff for a salt, I would say.
So right right off the bat, when you think of like the worst water out there, what's a bottle of water or type of water you could just say, just stay away from that because there's not really much in it?
So, a great example, I mean, is if you've ever been to Costco, I don't know where people are at in the world, but you know that I have a hard time with the guy that makes my underwear and makes my water at the same factory. So stuff like that, just bottle water that you buy, you might be better off just buying an under sink filtration system. They're fairly cheap, and you can get some filtered water there. There's stuff that's out there that's really crazy where you can start adjusting the alkalinity of the water on demand, and so you can start bumping up certain levels. But for the most part, you know, there's smart water, there's all kinds of stuff out there, but I really like mineral-based waters that you get from a spring. So spring water by far, I think, is one of the best options if you're looking on the shelf.
Okay, cool. Now, what are some other supplements that are really easy to just integrate?
So again, going back to, I think everybody should have their blood work done, a full comprehensive panel. There's some online sites that will do that for you. Just go get a blood draw, and then they'll process it for you. But finding where you're deficient and then adding in the vitamins and minerals and supplementation, I think, is the best way to do it. In a general sense, we're normally vitamin D deficient, and I made some notes here, so I just want to make sure I got all these covered. But brain function is huge. Brain fog is another issue that people are focused on right now. And so how is that happening? And it could be a lack of exercise. It could be a lack of a proper diet. It could be a lack of water, dehydration, some of those things. So going further, I would say vitamin D is a really big one. And there's lots of quality sources out there for vitamin D, and there's different variations of vitamin D as well. Another one would be vitamin C. So a lot of the cancer research that's being done right now from cancer prevention, they're doing high dose vitamin C, and they're using it for a lot of different areas right now. I personally take about 5 grams a day, and I've heard people taking upwards of 10, and I think there was a case of a guy taking 90 grams a day, which I don't know how he functions, because it's there is bowel tolerance there, just to kind of put it out there. So magnesium is another huge one. Magnesium is something you can do. I personally take about half a gram to 3/4 of a gram per day. Great at night to do muscle repair and kind of cognitive function for the next day. Up to 2 grams. Again, would be BCAAs. So this is something I just recently started taking about 4 months ago. I used to take it when I was working out in college. Branched chain amino acids are of a high quality source, are great replacement for loss of those things in food. So if you're not eating properly, you're not getting that stuff naturally, it's a good supplementation. And if you're really working out heavy and you're doing a lot of training, you're going to want a lot of that coming back into your diet, especially those who are perhaps on a ketogenic diet. So I like a high quality branched chain amino acid.
Now, really quick before you go on that, because you've had me take branched chain amino acids. That was something you wanted me to take while I was working out throughout the time. Is that something that you recommend as well?
Yeah, I think branched chains are awesome.
Yeah?
I don't personally take them. I did for a long time. I do recommend them for those ladies men and women that are working out really hard, and again, not getting everything they need from their diet. Amino acids there's so many positives to it.
I didn't have a choice to work out hard or not when I was
Yeah.
working out. So. Marjan hates him because of the sleds. She calls you a sled master. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going.
Yeah, so last what I'll say is just to add in a couple of glutathione. I really like glutathione. The hard part is trying to get it to actually process through the body. So normally it won't penetrate through the gut. So injection is usually the best way to get it.
Think about IV.
Yeah,
I did the
IVs.
IV treatment once.
Yeah, so that's
Really?
going on. If you can get to an IV center, somebody that'll put together a bag for you, it'll get you rehydrated, get you all your minerals and nutrients in a bag. I love it. I do it personally.
Now here, because when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to business, there's more than one way to get to where you need to get to. And so there may be some contradicting thoughts here on this one thing, but I kind of want to hear all your opinions on it. When it comes to eggs and the egg yolk, because, everybody hears different things. Can I have like 2 eggs a day, whole eggs, or 3 whole eggs a day without it affecting my cholesterol or having other impacts negatively to my body? We'll start with you since you're closest, and we'll go around.
I would say yes. I personally have at least 2 whole eggs a day, and then I mix in some egg whites in there as well. But I I love it. I'm a firm advocate of eggs. I love eggs. I think the egg yolk, you can get some great nutrients from it. I do like the organic, grass-fed type eggs, so it's just a little bit better for you. Remember when I was a kid, we lived on a farm, and our neighbors had, they would bring over eggs from their chickens, and when I was a kid, I was like, oh, they're brown, and the egg yolk was really dark. I'm like, I don't want to eat that, and now I'm just all about it. So, I think it's great for you. If you're eating, again, it's all about portion control. I mean, oatmeal can be bad for you if you're having like 5 cups of it. So it's all about portion control, just being smart.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of eggs. I would say there is a certain number of eggs you can have on a weekly basis that at some point it's going to offset other work you might be doing. So it's just, again, kind of knowing your body and watching. I like to do quarterly blood panels just to kind of see where my cholesterol is and some of those really high key indicators. But for the most part, I'm definitely a proponent of whole egg. It's got fats, it's got a lot of other stuff in there, stuff I can't even remember. But there's something very specific in it that's good for the body, good for the brain function, that if people are just eating whites, they're missing out on a lot of that stuff.
What is that?
I can't remember the name
Is
of
it
it.
lutein?
Might be, yeah.
Lutein.
And what is that?
It's just like a really, really rich, healthy vitamin. It helps with eyes, helps with brain. There's a lot of great, I don't know exactly, so I don't want to misquote anything, but I know that lutein in the yolk.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah.
So the quantity, again, I was trying to put on weight a couple months ago, and I would eat 5 a day, and so that's a lot, but it was a great easy source, and I'd supplement with other things to make it work. I don't eat that many now, but I'm a huge proponent of whole egg.
Okay.
I'm all for them too. What I look at is the fat component. So would I have somebody set up for fats in a meal plan, then we would work those in based on the amount of grams of fats we're looking at taking in. But yeah, I'm a fan of them personally myself too.
Well, now you being the measurement guy, the science guy, when I think of you, what are good, let's say I want to lose, I would say the average person wants to lose maybe 10 to 15% body fat, right? Would you say that's probably around right? The average person is probably around 20 to 30% body fat, and they like to see themselves in the mid-teens to early 20s, somewhere around there. If it's a woman, men, probably between 10 and 15%, something like that. Let's say the average goal, what kind of, and of course I know you get blood tests, but we're talking generally here, what are the percentages of carbs, fats, proteins that you'd like to see somebody on if they want to, let's say, achieve that in a fast, healthy time?
So being the numbers guy, that's one of those questions I get all the time is like, oh, what should I eat to do this? So really, and this is where me being able to sit down with somebody comes in handy, is those things, what somebody gets to consume is really going to be dictated on their lean body mass versus their fat mass. So to take somebody that's at 12% body fat and give them the same fat as somebody that's 30% body fat is not going to be congruent. So what I do is I'll work off different, off of as far as grams, like I may go 0.20 to 0.25 per pound of lean body mass if it's somebody that's fairly lean, or off of their actual body weight. So with foods and meal plans, it's all numbers, for me, and I believe in intuitive and all that too, but when somebody's starting out and the goal is to lose 15-20% body fat, you've got to have a starting point. So, I've seen a lot of meal plans and diets and things where you go, well, just eat this, but it's like you don't really know what you're doing. So when you're building a house, you don't go and go, okay, well, we're going to put the house here. You've got to survey the land. You've got to put a slab. You've got to do the foundation, the framing, and all that stuff. So for me, to know what I'm doing with my people, I'll actually break down percentages based on either their lean body mass or just the weight that they're at. But I also have to take into account what they were doing prior to seeing me. If they're eating a ton of food, well, I don't want to go in and starve them out to where they can't stick to it. Or if they weren't eating enough food, I won't want to give them too much to where they go, I can't eat all this food, Kelly.
Right.
So what I do is I sit down, I have a consult with them. I look at what they were doing. I look at, has there been any issues with foods that you've done? I am big on blood work if somebody wants to delve into that much. But I will work off of percentages. So proteins, carbs, fats, I will break down numbers, and that's how I come up with their numbers for the day to go, are we going to get this in between 5 and 6 meals, 6 meals and a snack, so depending on the person. But with fats, I'll usually start with 0.20 to 0.25 grams of good fats per pound of body weight typically. If it's somebody lean, I may do more. But for me, that gives me a gauge, and then I go every 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, and assuming they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, then it allows me to gauge and go, okay, what numbers do I need to change here? And we do use lean body mass index, whether it be fat calipers or, I have a lot of my clients do a DEXA scan, so we have a full body scan, so we know
That's what
exactly
you did
what's
at your
going on.
studio, right?
Because that's how you really tell your lean body mass versus your fat mass. Because also when you have somebody exercising, they could be losing weight, but if they are too calorie restricted, then they're probably losing muscle tissue too, which muscle tissues are fat burning machinery. We want to build and preserve that. So it is that fine line between, like, if you're just advising somebody, because when I get people asking me, hey, what should I eat for this? I go, I don't know.
Yeah,
Because the way I do things, I don't know. And I can give them, I go, we can look at doing 1 to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, or we could get deeper and go with your lean body mass index, and then 0.5 to 0.75 grams of carbohydrates, and then however you break it down through the day, and then you go that, and they're like, okay.
You hear what I mean when I say the science guy, the math guy here? I mean,
But for me, I'm a numbers guy, so
Right.
and that doesn't work for everybody. Like, she's talking, we come from the same arena with things, and where it burned her out, it's like kind of like set into my head. So when I work with people, it's like I want to know, like, what are the changes I'm making? Because some people will just go, okay, well, now eat this and now eat that. I got to go, well, did you do better on fats? Is this person maybe ideal for a keto type diet where we go higher fats and lower carbohydrates?
Now, before we give too much away, because your giveaway, you're going to actually be making a video of how to really break down
Basics, yes.
the basics, right, for people. And so for those of you guys listening in and watching, I'm going to tell you how to get that giveaway. So you're going to get the grocery list template that Felicia gives out to new members whenever they join. Kelly's going to actually give you a link to a video that shows you really how to get down to the numbers to be able to help somebody get to an aggressive goal quickly. And Matt, you're actually going to be giving away your top 10 supplements that you think on a general level this is really good for the average person to really be taking, and why and where to get it.
Yeah.
Right? And Felicia, there's one other thing that you wanted to give away too.
Yeah.
Because Felicia, her nickname is Miss Metabolism, because she understands how to break down metabolism. Now, you were just on a show. Are we able to talk about it? I mean, it's pretty much there now, right?
When is this airing? When is this
2
going on?
weeks.
2 weeks.
Not yet?
I think I can talk about it, but not in detail.
Okay, not in
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah.
But in this show, you had to gain weight significantly,
Yes.
and you had to lose weight significantly.
Yeah, in an 8-month time frame.
And I saw the picture of the before and after, and it was literally 2 different people in just a matter of 8 weeks. But it's because you know how to manipulate metabolism, and that's what really you help with. And now the second giveaway you're going to be doing is top 10 foods that can help boost metabolism,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so let's just give us 3 as an example so they kind of see, because these are easy to implement into your normal diet, right? It's not like we're asking you to go find
No.
radishes from Brazil,
no.
and so
Right.
normal
No.
stuff. So what?
Honestly, lean protein, one of the best ways you can just help is just eating a little bit of protein at each meal. That's going to
Okay.
help. Lemon. So, I'll add lemon to my water in the morning. I actually do that first thing in the morning right when I get up. Again, I had a lot of issues with my liver for many years, so I'm a huge advocate on keeping my insides healthy and clean, because if your insides, everything's filtered through the liver. If it's not healthy and clean, your body's not going to be efficient. So adding lemon to your water throughout the day, and it's actually a great way to get more water in, because some people have a hard time just drinking water.
Flavor.
Yeah, for the flavor of it. And then obviously the alkaline level and the acidity level that the lemon helps as well. And peppers. So adding some green pepper, a little bit of spice to your food will help too. So it helps your body run a little bit hot, so you burn a little bit more calories through the day.
Cool. So you're going to be giving away 10 foods and how they help, right?
Yes.
And so last thing I want to go over, because obviously there's people that don't like things, they don't like vegetables, or they don't like fruits, or random stuff. But just as a general, let's pretend I'm the person you're working with, and I go, look, which is true. I eat all vegetables. I really don't care. I eat all fruits. I really don't care. Just tell me what the best is. So when you're thinking of the most concentrated benefits that come within a vegetable. And then same thing with fruits. I know this is very broad, but what are 1 or 2 great vegetables that you're like, well, if you can eat anything, I'd like to see you eat mostly this, because
Right.
this is the best.
Right. So I'm a firm advocate of getting the most nutrients for your buck. So eating spinach or kale versus lettuce. A really rich with green vegetables like Brussels sprouts and
That's
asparagus.
what you always tell me, right? Green.
Deep
Yeah.
greens, yeah.
Yeah,
green.
yeah, like the
And you
Brussels
don't put a
sprouts.
limit on that.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you?
Same.
Yeah,
as many as you want.
And what about fruits? What fruits are the ones that maybe you want to be careful not to have too much of because of sugar content or maybe not as much benefits in relation to the sugar content?
Me personally, from a fruit standpoint, I try and keep that pretty low because at the end of the day it is sugar, and it's also the time of day of when I have something like that. So if I'm going to have fruit, I may have maybe some strawberries or something in the morning, blueberries, high antioxidant types of fruit. I do enjoy apples and almond butter, you know.
Okay.
Every once in a while I'll have that at nighttime, but I'm trying to get some fats right before bed, maybe a little protein right before bed. So.
Now you've
So low glycemic fruits. So most of your berries are going to be lower in
Okay.
sugar. You know, things too will change their sugar profile, like bananas. The darker they get, the more sugar they actually will have. So I'm big on berries and things like that because it is a lower glycemic fruit. Once again, it's contingent on the person. When we're looking at sugar, which breaks down to glycogen, we utilize that. So depending on the person, you know, if they have more muscle tissue, that's going to be a fuel source for them.
How they're working
If
out,
we're
how many
trying to
times.
lose weight on somebody, the body doesn't differentiate Snickers and a banana. Process is the same, you know, apples, things like that. You have pectin, some natural fiber that will slow down the process, but from a biological processing standpoint, it's still sugar. So
And you mentioned apple slices and almond butter. You've had me get on almond butter.
Yeah.
Why almond butter versus
the
peanut
good
butter?
fats, the good fats, and the different processing of fats of almond versus a peanut, different fat profile.
Cashews. What do you guys think about cashews?
I love cashews.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and as to talk about peanut butter, I feel like peanut butter can be super inflammatory. So especially
And the oil, the different
Yeah.
hydrogenated oils and things that can
Tastes
be
so
in it,
good.
too.
So I
Yeah.
tend to stick more to like the sunflower butters, the almond butters, things like that.
The Reese's peanut butter cup peanut butter is probably one of the healthiest ones you could buy.
The Kit Kat ice cream is really where I get my
Yeah.
protein. Okay, awesome. So, guys, it was really important to me that I get an episode out, you know, by request of some studio owners that we've had, as well as just kind of seeing this being something that I truly believe can help, because you guys have probably helped so many people just by being able to share this stuff with them, that if, let's say, you knew a fifth of what you know, which is still a lot because you guys know so much, you'd probably be able to help people a little bit, but I'm sure you'd be sending some people in the wrong direction unintentionally, right? And so if you guys knew all this already 100%, you know, and you made it to this part of the video, or audio, if you're listening on iTunes, it's because you're obviously an advocate like these guys. These guys probably talk about this and listen to this stuff all day because they love it. If it's new to you, I'm glad you got a ton of value, and hopefully you realize how important it is and how broad this subject really goes, and really take this seriously because you've committed to this industry and really get the most out of it for your members, which obviously helps your business. So thank you guys very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
I
appreciate
always
it.
learn so much. That's why I love meeting with colleagues because I learn something new every day, you know, so I think this was great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I've had you guys now on twice. We'll see if we can get the hat trick. Matt, we'll get you on a second time one day in the future as well. Thank you guys for watching, listening. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.